Okay, we'll call to order this March the 27th, 2019 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire. Chair Howard.
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Dunn.
If you'd all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for the invocation. Will be led by Dr. Thomas Swafford of the Wellsville Baptist Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Swafford's not here, so.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that we have together to make the decisions of the county. We thank you for the input that we've gotten, and we thank you for the support that we have of our community to make these decisions. Just be with each one. Help us to have a good, productive day to day. Amen.
Thank you. Derek, we got anything on correspondence and organizational business? Takes us to public comment. We do have lined up. Okay, a citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussion is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of county commission business, and public comment is not permitted in regard to personnel matters or pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items at a later date.
Jean Hurt.
Good morning. Gene Hurt, 219 West 4th Street in Linden, Kansas. In the Herald Chronicle of Osage County last week, states in there, it shows a picture of the roads, okay? Ruts, 150 foot long, 2 feet deep. They declared it a national disaster for Osage County. Now, I want to know why you guys haven't declared this county a disaster. Because in the last 4 days, since I've been out, where people have called me, over 50 people have called me, including your area, Stottlemyre, at Wellsville. I haven't got there yet. I've been too busy. And you talk about decent roads. You ain't got none up there to what some of those people say you destroyed them. Now, there are 2 commissioners up here I want to praise today, and that is Ian Dickinson and Rick Howard. Because there are people out there told me what you two had done. But the roads are not complete. Some of the roads, and I don't know what Lee does. I don't know whether you go out there and look or do anything. But yesterday, what I saw was pathetic. 3-inch rock, huge rock, sharp rocks. In several areas. Osborne Terrace is one of them. So I got to tell you these roads before my time runs out. You can't drive on that. You're going to ruin your tires. Some people have already done it. I've told them yesterday, the ones I saw yesterday and Sunday, you have to turn that in to him, to Lee, and this county, and try to get your cost redeemed for what you're having to drive on. Now, the first road I want to tell you about right off the bat. You go down 15th Street, go underneath I-35, you come to Nebraska. Turn on Nebraska, the first mile, right there, it's paved. But there are potholes that huge, that deep, you cannot drive down on your lane without having to go into the other lane, and you got people that are telling me that they can't drive down it decent because they got to stop and pull over to let somebody else go through. They have not been filled, none of them. Now, I'm sorry. I'm upset today for what I saw. You know, there are roads out there that have been bladed and put rock on. And the ridges on Nevada Road, for instance, out here east of town. The ridges are about that high on each side. No water can get into the ditches. And the ditches, they hardly exist. And the road is flat, and they had put rock in there. Where's the water going to go when it rains? Down the road. Those people feel you need a national disaster called, and I agree with them. But the other one is I want to praise Ian, because if you saw it on Facebook, Ian, that James Wallace said for the first time he saw somebody come down and Bladen on Nebraska where he's at, and he'll talk here in a little bit, say thank you to you, Ian, because on a Saturday, so you're paying overtime to these guys. Well, that's good. You're going to need it, but you're going to have to call a national disaster because you're going to have so much. There are over tons of roads, Nebraska, Labette. They're all over out there. I was out everywhere. I'm trying to get the newspaper to come out and see these places. The other one is in your area, Rick. You know, I went down and seen Jed Hermrich. Yep. And you know what I'm going to bring up now is Douglas Road. My God, you know, I tell you, there are signs on both sides of the sections of that road that have been totally tore out, and the dirt is higher than my head on the north side of the road. God, and in the middle, for sections of 150 feet long, 3-inch boulder rock, and you drive on that with your tires, you're going to puncture your tires. 2 places. But Jed came home.
1 minute, Gene.
Jed came home, and he told me what you did, Rick. And I'm glad that you've been in contact with Jed, because Jed says you're the only one that ever talked to him about that, and that you're trying to do it. But you don't leave a job unattended for 3 days with no rock, no gravel road rock on top of that stuff, because you're going to puncture the tires and you're going to hurt. And the farmers are doing their own, just like they are in Osage County, going out with their own blades. I heard them say it out there yesterday and Sunday when I was out there. They're going out there and take care of the roads themselves. They got to, because nobody's doing nothing. And when they do something, it ain't totally right. So God forsake, please call this county a disaster area on your roads. Thank you.
James Wallace.
James Wallace, 2447 Nebraska Road. I'm here to echo kind of what Gene was saying. I know a lot of attention is being focused on Montana and Kingman Road, where the new proximity park is going in. But that's not the only roads in Franklin County. I'd also like to talk about Nebraska Road, but on the other end from Rock Creek Road going north. They reditched it and rebuilt it more or less a year or two ago, and they did a great job. And as far as I know, water was running off the road into the ditch where it belongs, but since then they've neglected to do the piles of dirt on the side like Gene was talking about, and water runs down the side of the road and makes for soft shoulders. And I'm not an engineer, but that doesn't seem like the right thing to do to me. It needs to be corrected, in my opinion. And on the other end, like Gene was talking about, that road's always been full of potholes, and they rebuild it and put more pothole or asphalt in it, and it still develops potholes. And Nebraska Road from Rock Creek going north to 15th or wherever they turn, it's like a shortcut. It's becoming a main road. It has become a main road even before they built or are building Proximity Park. And I watch these meetings on TV or on the internet when I don't attend, and they were talking about dust control a couple of weeks ago, and how much it was costing and cost effectiveness and this and that. And I purchase the dust control every year for Nebraska Road, and I've lived out there over 20 years, and it's worth the money. And I know it's kind of expensive, but I think it needs to be investigated a little more about cost effectiveness and stuff. And I've read where other counties that put down the dust control, they leave it, you know, like a year round. They don't blade it as soon as winter comes or whatever. And really, from what I've seen, that makes a lot of sense to me, because it takes a while to get the rock packed down and a nice lane put into it. And I don't see the point in tearing it apart after you got it nice and compact and water drains off it and this and that. But like I say, I'm not the engineer. And I don't see why the county doesn't water down the roads when they have a lot of construction going on, like Proximity Park. And because you got to have dust control out there, because it's terrible without it. And when I do see the grader go by, the last few times I've watched them go by, I don't see them using the magnets on the end of the grader anymore. I don't know if that's done away with, or they're just not hooking them up, or what, but I don't see the magnets on there, and they pick up a lot of pieces of steel and metal on there with them. And that's about all I want to say. Thank you.
That will take us to the consent agenda. Items today on the consent agenda that need considered and approved are tax change orders in the amount of a minus $535.82, and claim vouchers in the amount of $431,250, and to approve the Franklin County Commission meeting minutes for March the 13th, 2019. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, takes us to items of business. Our first item of business, consider approving, wait a minute, Larry, you're jumping ahead of me.
We've
You're
got
nu-
one item
you're
before
number-
you.
You're number two. You are
are.
number one, but not on this one. Okay. The first item will be consider approving bids for noxious weed 2019 chemicals. Peg.
Good morning. We opened chemical bids on March 19th. Out of our 6 bidders, we had 4 replies, 2 no bids. As we sent in your packet, Van D Supply was low bidder on every chemical except for 1. Nutrien Solutions, we have had a bit of I don't really want to call it a problem. When they deliver, there's a delay on their delivery, and a lot of times we have farmers who are waiting on chemicals. There is a 1 cent per ounce difference on our escort between them and on Van Diest. And I feel like it would probably be to our benefit as the supplier for the farmers to award that bid to Van Diest also. It would be a total of $41.60 difference on the total bid. So I guess I'm looking for some suggestions or thoughts on that, please.
My opinion, no more difference in that bid, and with them getting the other bids and with the delivery time being good in the past, I have no problem with awarding all the bids to Van Diest myself. But
Van Diest has a very good turnaround time. They run out of Harrisonville, Missouri. Yes, they do. And a lot of mornings, I mean, if we come in, say on a Monday morning, we need chemical and we order it right away, we could possibly have it that afternoon even, usually no later than the next day. So their turnaround time is excellent.
I'll make a motion to accept Peg's suggestion and use Van Dees on all the bids on chemical.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yeah.
Chair Howard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get to Larry. Item number 2 is approve rezoning application 1901-1643.
Mr. Chairman, as you indicated, this item is the consideration of a rezoning that was previously approved by the Planning Commission. They forwarded a recommendation for the county commissioners to approve the rezoning of approximately 3 acres from the current zoning, which is A2, to the R3A, single-family residential zoning district. And that means the remainder of the tract then, which no longer meets the minimum requirements for the A2 zone, would also be rezoned to the RE residential estate zoning district. As a part of this consideration, the Planning Commission did waive the lot length to width ratio. In the past, this property had been subdivided, and it actually used a very small shoestring to get back to where the residence is. That residence is located at the southerly portion of the 19-acre, what is now described as the 19-acre plus tract. And I think that this was something that they felt did satisfy the purpose and intent of our subdivision regulations as well as our zoning regulations, and therefore have approved the design waiver as provided in the county's subdivision regulations. The site is served with public water, and sanitation would be available, on-site sanitation would be available. That satisfies the provisions of the county's comprehensive plan. Therefore, we would recommend that you accept the Planning Commission's recommendation and rezone the 3 acres to the single-family residential zone. The remaining parcel be rezoned to the RE residential estate zone, and accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission regarding the design waiver as provided in the county subdivision regulations. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have questions.
So there would be residents on both of them?
Yes.
It looks like the road goes into the new, they just do a,
That's a private driveway,
uh-huh.
and it will be serving both tracts, although the smaller tract does have the capabilities of getting access because they do have lot frontage out onto the county maintained road. This is the parents of the people that have the remaining 19 acres with the existing home. And what they're doing is trying to accommodate their elderly parents on a site that's nearby where they can actually look over their activities. And we feel that is probably a little better than the other alternative, which was the ability to put on a mobile home. We have what we call hardship mobile homes.
Yeah.
And this is probably a better alternative than going to the hardship mobile home that is available. And I think that's what the applicants have decided to.
Any more questions?
This is the first time I've heard that it was okay to use a common driveway.
We have several of those that are used. They will have to provide an easement. That easement will guarantee then the ability to utilize that driveway, even though it's relatives. That doesn't mean that would always be relatives. So if they want to continue to use that, then they will have to provide that as an easement to the smaller tract of land.
neighbor, they had to build a driveway parallel to the existing private driveway.
We have,
That was excessive, having to do that, if there's already a driveway there.
yes, we have that come up quite often where, particularly for families, where they utilize the same driveway, even though they do have access, ability to get access onto the county-maintained road system. In fact, I have a situation that's, the access has been there for 50 years, but now a person wants to fence it right down the middle of it so that it's not going to be very accessible. So that's another issue we're going to have to work with to see if we can't get that resolved. Again, I have nothing further to add on this rezoning request unless any of you have questions.
Okay, if not, we'll look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1901-1643 to rezone 3 acres from an A2 transitional agriculture to an R3A single-family residence, and to rezone approximately 19.49 acres from an A2 to an RE residential estate zoning, and to grant a rural exception for the lot length to width ratio as provided in Article 8, Section 8-1-01 of the county subdivision regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. It takes us to item number 3. Consider approval to participate in the Douglas County Highway Salt bid for 2019.
Commissioners, ever since 2011, Franklin County has participated with Douglas County and several other communities to solicit bids for salt to replenish our stockpiles. The thought being that the more of us that go together to participate in the bid, the better price we'll get. So we've been doing that for quite a while, and it's time again to solicit bids, and I'm seeking your approval to do so.
Ever since I've been here, we've done this with Douglas County, and it's a pretty much no-brainer. We can save by not, as you say, not doing this on our own and partnering up with someone that buys the amount they do. So, yeah. We cut and dried.
I'll make a motion to approve, to enter in their partnership with the Douglas County Highway Salt bid for 2019.
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 4 is also, David, to consider purchase of a John Deere 6110M cab tractor and a Diamond BDR 060 boom mower to replace a 2011 tractor and boom mower.
Commissioners, this year on our replacement schedule, we've got a tractor and boom mower that are due to be replaced. Quite frankly, I think Kirk Anderson, our shop foreman, would tell you that we can't put any more welding material on the boom mower to hold it together for another season. This particular setup we have viewed, and the mechanics and mower in the county went and looked at this. The improvements made to this particular mower meet all of the things that they have the most trouble with in the shop. Those items have been beefed up substantially on this boom mower. We saw it in operation, and we feel this is the best option for us. This particular setup comes with the government pricing, so we have roughly a 24% discount from the listed price, and we're seeking approval to move forward with that purchase.
This was budgeted
Yeah, it's
replacement?
it's part of the replacement schedule, and I'll tell you, we researched pretty extensively these pieces of equipment to figure out what would be the best purchase, not only for today, but down the line, and Kirk was great in helping us with that, and we think this particular mower is gonna hold up so much longer than what we've bought before. Given that they offered us government pricing, we didn't put it out to bid because literally this is as low as it can get. I mean, 3 bids could have come in theory, all with government pricing, but they'd have been the exact same amount. So Heritage has been good to work with, and so what we're looking for is a motion to approve these purchases.
What are we gonna do with this, the one we have, and the tractor, and what are we gonna?
The tractor we'll put on Purple Wave. The boom mower, we will cut that up into pieces. It's not suitable to resell. Is that correct? Yeah. So we'll steal parts off of it, but we don't want to give that to somebody else for fear that it would fall apart. So.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the purchase of a John Deere 6110M cab tractor with a Diamond DBR 060 boom mower from Heritage Tractor in the amount of $133,054.76. Adding the comprehensive warranty for an additional $56.33 for a total purchase price of $138,687.76.
Okay, you have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 5. Consider approving the bid for the 2019 chip and seal project to Bass Brothers in the amount of $928,598.51 for the CML alternate. David?
Commissioners, if you recall, we tried, I spent a good deal of time reaching out to various contractors that provide this service, both for this and the paint and beads that will be the next agenda item. I spoke directly with 6 different contractors and visited with them about the project. We made sure that they received the bid information, and we received 2 bids on this, the same 2 bidders that we had last year. So we, the price for the CML is considerably higher than it was last year, but it is still, the Vance Brothers was the low bid. You got the bid results in the packet. They are still considerably lower than by several $100,000 to the next bid. So we are recommending staying with the CML, although you do have the option of changing and going to the CMK, which is a limestone chip, which is a little bit cheaper. The biggest difference between the 2 products, we've been using the CML for a number of years now. It's the Haydite man-made material. It's a little bit lighter. It has a little bit better traction on the roads once they've been put down. It's less apt to break windshields. And it also, whenever the sun hits it, it has a tendency to melt quicker than if there's ice and that sort of thing on the roads, it will melt a little bit quicker than the CMK. So that is primarily the reasons that we're recommending staying with the CML.
It's substantial amount more, in my opinion, 95,000, somewhere in that from last year. Where are we on the miles? Is it the same miles as we did last year?
It is roughly the same amount of miles, within a mile or so.
And the other thing I want to bring up, when we originally switched over and went to this new material, we were told that it could give us a 6-year rotation instead of a 5-year, that this had a longer time that it would hold up. and we could move up to a 6-year rotation, and it was one of the reasons we went to it. And we're still on the 5-year rotation using it.
That is my understanding. I haven't researched that part of it. I certainly can, to see if we can stretch that out to 6 years. There would be additional benefits to that. Obviously, the amount of money that we spend on this every year would be reduced if we could divide the 200-plus miles by 6 rather than 5.
But Roy, I guess you were the only one here that was on there. Do you remember when they talked about the 6-year rotation instead of the 5?
Briefly, yes, I do.
Well, but that's been since I've been here. And so it hasn't even been 6 years. And so it could very well be the case that it is a 6-year rotation. We just haven't, I mean, we switched to haydite under my predecessor. And so we've probably
Right.
been
Well,
using
what I'm
it
going
for
by
4
is-
years or so.
Well, we put that on Highway 50 when we first, one of the highways we switched over to. And we just did Highway 50 again last year after 5 years. So we didn't get another year out of Highway 50. That was, that's what I'm saying. We probably need to look at that and talk to them and see if we
I will do so.
can go to a 6-year, because it would save us quite a bit of money, like you said, if we're able to stretch a year out in between these places, if we're going to stay with this material.
Yes, sir. I'll look into that.
Want to have any questions on this?
We do have public comment.
Okay. Gene? Remember the same thing, Gene, 5 minutes and only comments on this item.
I understand.
I knew you would.
Keep repeating it. Gene Hurt, 219 West 4th Street in Linden, Kansas. You're right, Rick. That is a huge, large sum of money. 900 and some thousand. Jeez, for the same amount of roads. God almighty. Yeah. See, and this is one of my pet peeves also, is chip and seal. But you're right about Old 50. Old 50 now, when I was out in the roads here in the last 4 days, I drove Old 50 when I went and seen Jed. And it is in a major improvement from what it's ever been in the last 17 years, that chip and seal. And we don't want the chip and seal that will come up and break windshields or anything like that. True. But let me tell you though, see, I was in the hospital when I observed your meetings early on this year. And so I reviewed them. And, Rick here brought up to you all about Osage City owning their own equipment. See, now I told Rick about this, that they had it. And they're laughing at you. They know what you said that day. It cost you too much money to own your own equipment. Well, boy, let me tell you. That's the best thing you can do now. You've got to sit down and try to figure that out and quit worrying about the cost. You've got to take care of the cost, and you've got to do it right and have the equipment to do it yourself and not go relying on these people to come in here and charging you outrageous sums. My God, that, and I'm going to say it, Mr. Brown, as I said, when I heard you say the words, "Oh, we can't afford to teach them." Oh, come on. Let Osage County tell you how they do it. Maybe you need to learn from them. And I'll tell you, in the future, and that's why I'm here on this subject, is to start thinking about buying your own equipment and doing it yourself. That's the best way you're going to be able to take care of this situation in the future and move forward. Thank you.
Anyone else on that? Okay. Anyone else have any questions about the approving the bid of $928,598 to Vance Brothers? If not, we'll look for a motion to accept the bid in the amount of $928,598 for the 2019 chip and seal project to Vance Brothers.
Make a motion to approve the Vance Brothers bid.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 6, consider for approval awarding the bid for the 2019 painted pavement marking project to Straight Line Striping Incorporated in the amount of $51,484.80.
Commissioners, like I mentioned a minute ago, I reached out to 6 different contractors that provide this service. We got 2 bids. The second bid was roughly $95,000 higher than the bid that we're recommending. Straight Line Striping is able to do this at a reasonable price. They're a little bit more expensive than they were last year. That is due to material costs that they're seeing on their end. And so they work real hard to keep their prices steady, but they did see a material increase, so they're obviously passing that all along to us. So they're $5,000 or $6,000 more than they were last year. And so I would recommend that we use Straight Line again this year.
One thing you might talk to them about if we approve this, we had an issue with last year, and I don't think it was their fault. I'm not sure it was Vance Brothers' fault, but we had roads set for a long time once they were chip and seal before there was any lines put on them. We had a lot of issues. I had a lot of calls myself about they were having trouble on those roads at night. So hopefully we can coordinate a little better this year between Vance Brothers and the marking company to get those painted quicker once they're done.
I remember discussing this, and I failed to mention a minute ago, new in the chip seal bid this year are some temporary reflectors that will be placed every so often along the roads so that folks at night can see the edges of the road. That will help mitigate this issue a little bit, but I will visit with them about timing.
On
and
the
see.
edge or the middle also?
I think it's just on the edge, but I'll have to look back at my material to see if I spec'd it on the edges and the center all the way through. But that is part of the bid package for the chip seal.
Well, when they talked to us, the Vance Brothers representative came and talked to us. A lot of the problem that happened last year was they run out of material and left, and then they came back. So we had roads set and they were done, and then they left, and the painting company wasn't coming until they were completely done, so they made one trip here. And I think caused part of the problem. Well, he told us when he talked to us last year after this that they should be able to get the material better this year because a big company had taken over this and will be producing a lot more of that haydite material. So hopefully when they come in, they have all the material this time and they can finish it, and then the paint company can come straight in. But
I will visit with them specifically about that issue.
okay, anything else? If not, would look for a motion to approve the bid of $51,484.80 from Straight Line Striping Incorporated for the 2019 painted pavement project.
Would make that motion?
Second?
Second.
Second, Jen.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, no public comment on that one?
No, not on.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item number 7, discuss and finalize community partners funding for the 2020 budget year. Derek?
Yeah, at our last meeting, we received presentations from each of our community partners. Thought we had great presentations this year. We asked each of them to provide a little more information specifically on how their funding is used. Thought they all did an excellent job. Hopefully, the board's understanding of what each of them provide has been enhanced this year, and so We asked each of you to give us your amounts. You all did, and as you can see from the spreadsheet, we stayed remarkably flat this year. 3 of you were completely flat, and then Commissioner Waymeyer and Commissioner Dickinson had very slight deviations on, I believe, 3 of the community partners, but they were very small. And so after we receive public comment, I would like to talk about these and run down and see if we can get a consensus on each one and then get it finalized. And I say that, it's all pending finalization of the 2020 budget. But since I've been here, I don't believe we've changed these amounts once the board's kind of agreed on that. So with that, I would say let's take our comments.
We have a public comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gene?
Won't say anything, Gene.
Gene Hurt, 219 West 4th Street in Linden, Kansas. Okay. Now, what I want to say about the partners is this. I think I agree that with Mr. Brown that they all did a great job presenting their positions for what monies and so forth that they need. There's 2 of them that come to my heart the most because I know a little bit more about them than most others, and that's the Elizabeth Layton Center and the Agency on Aging. Because the Agency on Aging is what keeps a lot of our people going to appointments, getting out to the doctors, going to the hospitals when they can't afford the gas and so forth. And also with the Elizabeth Layton Center for the kids. There are so many kids in that I've given donations when Diane Drake was there, that I gave my own funds to that organization because of the kids that it helps. And so I hope those funds will be given to what you can with them. Now, the other thing that I want to bring up here on funding, because I've told you and asked you about this and nobody said anything more about it, but I've talked to Dustin again about your stuff here you have here, the shots that you give here. You know, down there at the City Commission downtown Ottawa, they get the front view of an individual when they speak. You don't have that, okay? You only got the back of their rear ends here and facing you to see it. Of course, I would like to see a change here in this room because this is the way it's been for the last 17 years in here, just like it is. Have a front view camera up here so that you can do each individual that speaks, to give them the courtesy of allowing them to be able to say it in front and people to see them when they view it on YouTube of your meetings. And because you got to move forward, because it's nice to see what the city does when they present it and you get to see your faces of the people that talk as well as them when they talk. So I think $20,000, and I know maybe that's way out of your budget, but whatever it takes for him, Dustin, to get these cameras in here for you should be looked at. And I'll repeat it again. You've got to move forward in this county, and you need to change something in here. Thank you.
Okay, if you want to start on the list, we can start with the Conservation District. It looks like 4 of you had them flat at 45,000. Ian, this is one where you deviated slightly. You had them at 45.5. And so I guess I would like to have whatever discussion is necessary to arrive at a consensus amount.
I would just say why I probably would have raised it more if I thought I could get away with it, but when I was looking at all of the different community partners, what I looked at mainly was how many people that it served and how much of their budget comes from us. and also how much they can use that money to get other funds. And our farmers, our agriculture community is one of our largest industries in the county, and this is a way we have to support them. And anyway, that's why I just bumped it there.
Appetite from you to go up to 45.5? You want to keep it at 45? What?
I'm not, here's my issue. I'm not for, I'd love to give them all some more money, but I am not for taking away from one of the others to bump someone else up. I rather, my opinion, that's why I went flat on all of it. I'd rather stay flat myself. This is just myself. I'd rather stay flat with all of them from what they got last year than I would take from one in order to bump up someone else, is why I'm where I'm at on mine. I would prefer to stay flat myself.
I have the same feelings on it. It always felt that way in the past, that you don't take away from one to give to another unless you really got a really wonderful reason, I guess, and I don't see the wonderful reason. I do see the reason to keep everybody at what don't suffer by a loss of any kind, but keep continuing them at the level that we have in the past year.
Roy, what are your thoughts?
The only one that I considered increasing was the services for the elderly. Compared to the other counties that help support that service, we're a little bit light on our contribution to that. So if I was going to go up on any of it, it would have been services for the elderly.
So what I'm hearing then from the conservation district is that 45,000, which would be flat, seems to be what at least 3 of the 4 of you like to stay at, correct?
That's where I'm at.
I will say before we move on, I think Carrie does a fantastic job. I know some of you were at her annual meeting where they put on a little presentation. I thought that was great. I go to a lot of those, and that one in particular I thought was very well ran. It was just, the mood there was great. Everyone was happy, and so yeah, I think Carrie does a good job. Next one is the Franklin County Agriculture Society. This is another one where there was some deviation. 3 of you had them perfectly flat at 13,210, and then Commissioner Dickinson and Commissioner Waymeyer had them up at 14,000. I will tell you, he's not sitting here, but what Colt indicated on this was he was impressed with the new ideas and the new direction that they seem to be going with the fair, and so that's why he believed they could use a slight bump. This is one that, Janet, did we fund this entirely from TGT funds last year?
No, we funded them 3,200 of their funding last year. The 32,210 was funded out of TGT.
And the reason I went up to 14,000 was because I was looking at the history. 14,000 only brings them up to what they were at way back in 2012. And I don't know, I don't know what happened, that it was brought down again because they were all the way up to over 17,000. And so all I was doing was putting them back to where they were even back in 2012. Again, this is one of those that serves a lot of our kids in the community. We're supporting our 4-H kids. We support other kids, in the juvie. It'd be nice to support the good kids. But
Yeah, I want to bring this up. This is one I been thinking about a lot. I feel this should be taken out of community partners. This is totally eligible for transient guest tax funds. We have usually a decent amount in the transient guest tax funds. I think this should be taken out of community partners and funded totally by transient guest tax funds. One of my reasons for that is because, as I said earlier, it's hard to give one organization more money and tell another organization and the community partners that we're not gonna raise theirs, and we know they need it just as much as probably the other one. But, to me, this is one where we can control with transient guest tax. If the fair is growing, bringing in more people, really doing well, we can go up a little bit with transient guest tax. If they start, being able to take care of it on their own some, we can come down some. We can fluctuate with the transient guest tax and not have to say, well, we gave the fair more money, but we can't give the conservation district more money. And this is totally eligible for transient guest tax money, and our account usually is pretty good shape there. I'd like to see this taken out and totally taken care of on transient guest tax money and not be in this tax or deal.
So you would propose this year that the entire 13,210 be funded with transient guest tax, and moving forward, that they not be a part of the list, that rather they approach Susan and I for TGT funds through that process. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or what are your thoughts on that, the other commissioners?
I would not have a problem with that.
Would it really make a difference on how much we could give the others? Not necessarily.
I will share with you that we, in addition to what, in 2019, we are budgeted for $3,210 of this money to come out of transient guest tax. We are also budgeted for $12,000 for the Historical Society to come out of transient guest tax because of the different activities that the Historical Society provides, with bringing people into the community, like the museums and things like that. So I just want to throw that out there for your consideration, because you would be basically taking $10,000 additional dollars off of the tax levy, but you'd be adding that to transient guest tax, which then would come to $25,310 coming from transient guest tax versus $15,310.
And one option that you would have is, and you'll recall last year, and some of it was Diana's generosity, there was a question on the conservation district and how, there was a desire to increase the funding there, but not use ad valorem funds. So Diana did, in front of you and said, well, we believe we're eligible for transient guest tax funds. I would be happy to, effectively contribute 10 or 12 grand of our ad valorem over there if you subsidize us with TGT. One thing you could do here is, if you fund the Ag Society entirely from TGT funds, I would just take that ad valorem that was dedicated to them, move that to the Historical Society, so that you're not, you're still going to be out a few additional TGT dollars, but it won't. Now, the downside to that is you won't have any more ad valorem funds to divvy up between the other partners, but it would reduce the burden that you have on TGT. And what I would have you keep in mind there is, yes, our TGT fund is in good shape, and I'm not going to let it fall out of good shape. It will remain that way, but the only thing that scares me with TGT funds is it's just unpredictable. We literally cannot control the number of people that come and stay in our hotels. We can control a mill levy. There are ways we can control ad valorem, but TGT we can't. Now, if you look at trends, am I concerned that it's going to plummet? I'm not. If anything, I think it's going to keep growing, but I just want you to bear that in mind when you're going to continue to dedicate those funds each year. So.
I would prefer, that's my thing, I would prefer to do that and take them off of this and use that from the Historical Society.
So it's 10 grand in ad valorem currently. So the Ag Societies, is it 10 grand ad valorem, 3,200 TGT? So what you're proposing is to put that 10 grand of ad valorem back to the Historical Society, and that would make their TGT contribution 2,000. Okay.
And it would remove one off of the community partners, which I think may help us down the road.
Diane, Roy, what are your thoughts on that?
And you use the same rationale for the Historical Society? Or putting them in on TGB?
That's a big
My-
chunk.
My only problem with that is, I'm talking 14,000 on the fair. The Historical Society's talking 71,000, which is a pretty good hit to the transit gas tax.
Well, I know that.
To answer your question, Roy, yes, you literally can. I mean, I think that it's eligible for those funds, but you're talking about obviously a major commitment there.
I have no problem with, the fair or the Ag Society doing that.
Okay, and so what amount for the Ag Society? 14 or flat at 13,210?
I was comfortable with either one. 14 I'd be comfortable with for the Ag Society.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
You ain't talking different money now, so. I
You
wouldn't
mean-
have
you
a
talking
problem with
about
the
coming out
14
transit
being
gas
you're
tax?
changing the structure of supplemental money. I wouldn't have a problem with the 14 being you're not changing that, you're not taking more money from ad valorem, you're taking it from.
Are you talking about doing that for this coming up year?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
This would be for the 2020 budget. Well, the 2019 budget is already set, and we've already began
Yeah.
making payments based on the 2019 budget to all of these partners, so.
Rick, are you comfortable with 14?
Yeah, I'm okay with that on the transit gas tax. And my thought on this is, with this new fair board that we have, which I think is gonna really do well, my thought is not looking at every year $14,000 out of transit gas tax. I think they're gonna start getting to a point where that can come down as they start putting on some things out there and raising some money, and hopefully you can see them down the road funding the fair themselves from their projects.
Okay.
But I'm okay with the
And they're
14
moving
out
in a great
transit gas
direction, it
tax.
sounds like.
So I just want to clarify, so each one of you are at 14,000 and it all coming out of TGT?
Yeah.
And then moving the 10,000 that was ad valorem tax for them over to the Historical Society to reduce the amount that's coming out of TGT for them?
Right.
Okay.
Our next partner here on the spreadsheet is Prairie Paws. All 5 of you agreed to keep them flat at 40,776. Is there any discussion that you wish to have on that? Melissa is another one that has done an excellent job, and I've gotten a ton of compliments on her. I would say with the exception of poaching good county employees, I have no problem with her at all, so. Oh, hey, Joy, how are you? Next one is CASA. Again, you were all on the same page with CASA at 15,000. Any discussion that's needed there?
Thanks, so.
ELC, you were all flat at 175,000. Any discussion there?
I actually would be, I mean, if we could give, that's always going to be a hard area to be able to fund fully, but if we're going to try to split the budget, yeah.
COF, everyone was flat at 95,000. Any discussion there?
Nope, I've always been impressed with their efforts. I can remember when they used to be 110,000 several years ago. So I'm impressed with their efforts of what they're trying to accomplish with all the heavy debt, heavy doing what they do.
Yeah. Historical Society, there was one deviation. Ian, you had them at 70,000 instead of 71.
And the only thing I reasoned on that was, I guess I was taking into consideration the additional amounts that we paid for the roof. That was not a part
Yeah.
of their request last year, so they actually received a whole lot more money than they requested last year.
Yeah.
And But with the changes that we're making here, with moving some things around, actually, I probably don't have an issue.
Okay. Okay, so 71, is there any further discussion on that? And then the last one would be services for the elderly, and all 5 of you had them flat at 201,000. Is there any discussion on that?
I stayed flat on all. I'm like Roy, that's one that's tough because I know that their drivers and stuff basically have not had raises for a long time and probably deserving in their vehicles and so forth. I know that's a tough one for me to stay flat, not go up, but I stayed flat on all of them, so I stayed flat there.
Okay, and so what I might do then, and this is on your cover sheet, I'll have Janet read aloud the amount that you allocated to each community partner, and then we would just ask for a motion approving those amounts pending finalization of the 2020 budget, so.
The amounts that you guys have indicated that you want to support your community partners at are Franklin County Conservation District at $45,000, Franklin County Agricultural Society at $14,000, all coming from transient guest tax. Prairie Paws, $40,776. CASA at $15,000. Elizabeth Layton Center at $175,000. COF Training Services at $95,000. The Historical Society at $71,000, with $2,000 of that coming from transient guest tax, and services for the elderly, $201,000.
Look for a motion to approve the community partner funding for 2020 as just read by the clerk.
Make that motion to support the community partners for the amount clerk said.
Second?
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stoudemire?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Like Derek said, just echo, for the ones that are here, all our community partners do a great job, and we'd love to be able to give them more money, but one of the reasons I think that we stay flat is our county departments are gonna see when we get into their budgets, I, speaking for myself, will be making an effort to try to keep them flat too if we can, so. Like I said, some of our departments have really, and our community partners is doing a great job and have improved a lot over the years, and appreciate all you do out there. Hey, with that, we'll go to staff reports. Derek?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about roads and our Public Works Department. Since I've been here, we've been blessed to have good Public Works directors. Jim Haig was a good director, did a lot of things exceptionally well, improved the quality of equipment out there immensely. And now in David, and I've only worked with him for a few months, but I've already worked with him long enough to tell you that I think we've got a great Public Works director. Does so many things incredibly well, incredibly responsive to citizens. His people already love him. Morale out there is excellent. You know, we're in a situation where we had a very difficult winter. That this is something that affected all of the counties around us. It's something, and I said this on the radio the other day, it's going to throw off our plans for the entire year. I mean, David and I kind of charted out a kind of a tentative schedule for the year, and just with all of the rain, all of the snow, all the ice, we're going to have to scrap that because we need to keep the roads together. I would tell anyone who's listening, to the extent you have complaints, please give us a call. We're working hard to address those as soon as we can. We're in a tough spot. I mean, these types of events don't happen often, and so, you know, we could bring in more employees, and sure, that would increase our response times. The issue is you all are going to have to raise the mill levy to do that. And the question is, do you raise the mill levy in response to an event like this so that we can have maybe a better level of staffing? But then the issue becomes, okay, when things operate like they normally do, well, all of a sudden you've got higher taxes and you've got staff that maybe we can't keep busy. And so it's a balance, and it's a tough balance, and I don't envy the five of you up there. But I think the commission's doing a good job. I think David's doing a great job. And we're doing what we can. We'll get through this, and our roads will be in good shape. It's just going to take some time. I also, I've introduced a couple of you to her, but my new assistant is here this morning. This is Tammy Hoffner. We just hired her here a few weeks ago, probably. She started last week, comes to us from KU Law. I'm excited to have her, and certainly if you need anything, reach out to her. I have her down here at the annex, so let her know if you need anything. Is there anything you want to say? Or?
To have you.
Welcome.
And that's all I have this morning.
See. Sheriff, you have anything?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to echo a little bit of what Derek said. We patrol all the roads, and I get that roads are not good, but they are improving. And if I lived just in a certain area, I would know those roads, but we patrol all of them. And so there have been vast improvements made throughout the county, and they've got an almost impossible task that they're up against getting those roads done. But we appreciate what has been done there, and my staff has commented on that as well. So I just wanted to pass that along to you guys so that you were aware of that. Also, we'll be having a public class. It's a women's self-defense class. It's kind of been affectionately referred to as a ninja class, but that'll be coming up here pretty soon for us. We have some self-defense instructors, Krav Maga instructors in-house, and we train not only our staff, but we also invite the both police departments in the county to participate, and we do those, but we're also wanting to provide that to the citizens. And so the dates will be coming up and be posted on that here real soon. You can just get on our Facebook page. That's where that will all be announced. And so we'll have that going here real soon, as well as our Citizens Academy, which is being funded by the Sheriff Foundation, and that'll be coming up here within the next few months as well. So those things will be advertised when they get a little closer, but I wanted to give you guys just a little bit advance notice and that those are coming. So other than that, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
How's their numbers looking at the jail?
We have a couple farmed out, and we're running high 60s, low 70s still. So we're kind of busting at the seams. The inmate count on our female side is an unusually a high number. And I say unusual, but I guess it's not unusual anymore. We've been there for the better part of a year now, where that count is just high for whatever reason. And haven't seen any relief in that perspective anytime. So
We've talked about this several times. Jeff and I talk about it a lot, but we're still getting hammered by medical costs from our inmates. That just kills us. And I know the Sheriff's Association is working hard to try and get that legislation changed, but it's just incredibly difficult. And for those of you who may not know, when you have someone in your custody and they incur medical issues, if they don't have insurance, we pay a percentage of those costs, and it just, how do you budget for that? Because you don't know who you're going to bring into your facility. I mean, it's super problematic. Jeff and I brainstorm all the time, and as do sheriffs and administrators around the state. There's just no easy answer to it, but
The way that the statute reads, which was legislation that several years ago that was brought by the Sheriff's Association, the counties have to, what we pay is the Medicaid rate, which does save us a lot of money, but because of how many bills we have, we're still spending a ton. But that's just kind of part of it, I guess. As substance abuse increases and when those people end up in the jail, those people that have those addictions, they have a lot more medical problems, and we have to address those while they're in our facilities. So the contract we have with our medical provider, I think, is saving us a lot of money, and we're providing a good service, but we're kind of getting a little bit tapped on that end as well because of just how busy it is. So.
and I'll commend Jeff for that. He recommended that we up the level of service we're receiving from our care provider, and I agree. I think it's saving us a ton of money, but there are, some of these things reach a level of severity that you can't handle with a nurse. They require hospital visits, and it's unfortunate. But here in a week or so at our next study session, Jeff's going to be in and talk to us a little bit. He got a quote for his detox cells, so we're excited to get started on that. And then you're presenting a 5-year plan, is that correct?
5-year comprehensive strategic plan, that's right. Yeah. So.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Roads. We are making some headway. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have, the blade operators have been working some Saturdays and Sundays to try to help get ahead. So we've been doing that for a while now. We do have a number of areas around the county where we did have to place large diameter rock in these holes to firm them up. We have started going back across those to shape them up with smaller rock and creating a more suitable road base. Our objective from the get-go was to get these roads that people weren't able to pass through at all. We were able to get them open so that they could get out, even in a car, if they drive slow. That big rock needs to be packed down a little bit, and so we are actively going back and fixing those in a more permanent way. It's a big job, and it's going to take us time to get around and get these things situated the way that they need to be. Some other steps that we're doing, we're going to start having biweekly blade operator meetings in an effort to go from being a reactive department to being more proactive. This is a small step in that evolution. Again, it's just going to take time. This winter has been horrendous. We have lots of problems out there. We recognize that, and we are trying to methodically attack these things. I would ask that if anybody in traveling the roads, if they see issues, if they will contact me at the annex, 785-229-3550. I will try to call them back the very same day. I've been spending a fair amount of time out traveling the roads and looking at these issues myself. In fact, I spent most of yesterday doing that and a couple of days last week as well. So I am out there. I have personally seen improvement. But there's a lot of work yet to do, and Derek is right. Ordinarily, each district, we rebuild a certain amount of road every year. We have been talking as a staff. We're not going to be able to do the same type of work plans that we have in the past because of the issues that we've experienced this year. We're still taking care of critical situations. As soon as we get through those, we will go into a planning and where we will be more strategic about the areas that we improve. This is going to be The work involved here is going to drag out into the summer, but we are working on it just as quickly and as hard as we can. Related to that, dust control, early next week, I think at the study session, I'm going to present some information where we can make some decisions on how to move forward with that based on the little bit of research that I've done. So we need to get that program started. And then the other thing that's been working on a little bit with the city of Wellsville, Stafford Road, I hope to have some recommendations here, hopefully really quick. They've got final plans for that 300-foot stretch of road that they're wanting to asphalt. I've been in contact with their city engineer and their building folks. Hopefully we'll have some information for you all to consider, possibly even next week. I need to firm a few things up and get with Derek, and then we'll try to get it before you to make some final decisions.
While we're on this, I was going to wait till commissioner comments, but being we're talking about the roads, I'm going to make a little response to what Gene said. When you thanked me about my district and what I've done, I just want to put out there what I've done. As soon as I've got a complaint or called about a spot, I've contacted David. That's what I've done. David's taken care of it. He's had crews get to him as soon as they can get off of what they're doing, and taking care of Douglas Roads one. As soon as I contacted him, the crew was there, I think, in a day or two to start working on it, and they're still working on it. But anyway, that's really all I have done. When I get the call David, and he's taking care of it. So I just want to say that. Anyway, Janet.
So I'd like to add to that. So we get a lot of calls in my office just because, people don't know where to call, and so they'll call my office. When we get those calls, we try to forward them immediately to the Public Works Department, whether that's directly to David or straight out to Jeff Welton, so they can get somebody out there right away. But in addition to that, most of those calls are coming in asking to talk to the commissioners, and I just want to let you know that I ask my girls to, in addition to trying to help someone with their problem immediately by sending them to Public Works, we do send you guys an email and let you know that we did receive a call from someone. So I know some of you have received those emails from us. I know Lynn said she emailed Roy. I think we've emailed Don a couple times. So we are trying to let you guys know not only when a citizen calls and wants to speak with you about that concern, but we are trying to direct them immediately to the department that can help them. And in this case, it is the road department. And I think that people are largely appreciative of that, getting the problem taken care of right away, like you said, Rick, but letting you guys know so you guys can hear what their concerns are as their representatives. So moving on to elections, we do have the city school elections coming up this year. I'm working with our city clerks to finalize the positions that will be on the ballot. So I'm reaching out to each one of the cities. Every city will have an election this year, and every school district. So we're finalizing those things right now. Out in Don's district, the city of Wellsville is having a special election in June. So I'm working with the city of Wellsville to get their special election going and get ready for June for that. So just so you guys are aware of that.
It's just commissioner comments and board reports.
Just like Janet said, I get my phone calls, but Janet gets her phone calls, David gets his phone calls, and Janet's been real good to email David and I both just to me for information. And I've had a couple of them I called David, and he's either already taken care of the problem or on the way out to take care of the problem. And I know I had one within 2 hours. I got a call from a lady thanking David and his people. They'd already been out and taken care of. And Gene is 100% correct. The roads are bad, but I attend the Solid Waste Authority, which I'm on that board, and I don't go around people. There happen to be 3 Public Works directors sat on that board, so the comment, it's a topic. And I know J.R. McMahon from Miami County, and Wayne Blackburn from Coffee County, and Glenn Tyson from Osage County. And they all informed me that this is the worst they've seen it in 30 years. And it's worse here. It's bad here too. I mean, it's bad everywhere. And it's just the main idea that you guys are trying to do your part. And I know everything's a new process with a new guy on the job and having to work with new people. But Gene's 100% correct. Things are bad, but they're bad everywhere. So I did talk to them in a long, and I know David has had meetings with those public directors I'm talking about. He's called them over here, invited them over here, and discussed the same thing Gene mentioned. What are they doing? What can he do? And different things. And I think that's a good thing on your part, to talking to all the surrounding people about that. And just one more comment on the Solid Waste Authority. I know I and Peg went down last month, and David went down to introduce himself to them. And I know they hadn't done any grants for several years, and since I come on, I've convinced them to go back. And right now, the Solid Waste Authority's we're working on a grant with Conoco Oil, with MFA Oil, with Walmart Distribution Center, and Kansas City Power and Light, which I helped them get one of those last year for us. So I know KDHE is dried up, and it's hard to get those anymore, but we are finding several small grants, and hopefully multiplying on top of those. And there'll be our annual meeting be coming up in May. You'll be getting, all the commissioners will be getting an invitation to that. It'll be in Garnett, and it's going to be at the brand-new restaurant that's open down there where the old bowling alley used to sit. It's a really nice place, and I went by there yesterday. It was really packed, too, so evidently it must good to see a community business doing well. So that's all I got. Thank you.
I attended chamber coffee at the Farm Bureau that was celebrating National Ag Week. And then I went to Allie Dickinson's reception, which was a great way to visit with a lot of county employees from several departments. Another one that you get to come up with, a new department head, but you've been hitting home runs. So I'm excited to see what we come up with for a new director there. And then I went to legislative coffee on that Saturday morning, and am very thankful that I'm not serving in Topeka, where in addition to your constituents, you also have the court telling you what you can do with your money. They have, and a partisan, they have a hard road to hoe. So I'm glad that we are in a good position financially. I feel like we're, all of us getting along, and financially we're in a good position. And I will do my little commercial here about, I have been on both hard pavement roads and dirt roads that I have seen a lot of improvement in the last week. And I know you're out there and getting it done. And we know it's not going to be overnight. It's going to be a long process to get back where it was. I had a constituent a couple of weeks ago that called me and asked me if I was out driving the roads in my district. And I told him no, I was not. That was not probably a great use of my time. But the constituents are out driving those roads, and they have to be our eyes. I know hopefully the bad weather is over, but when something happens and there is something that needs to be taken care of, or there's a problem that you feel like needs to be addressed that maybe is not being addressed, our phone numbers and our email addresses are all on the Franklin County website. And please call us, if we can do something to help that. I dare say that a phone call or an email to your commissioner will probably get the job done faster than posting pictures on Facebook.
I agree with Ian and Rick and Don about our roads getting calls, and I refer them to Public Works Department where it's going to get done and responded to, and I try to get back to the people that call in and explain this, and most people appreciate the call back, and they understand our situation here in the county. It's gonna take a little while for everything to get resolved, so I appreciate the people of Franklin County being patient, most all of them, and some of them are still cranky no matter what. And the Public Works Department help alleviate these really bad situations in a timely manner. I've been on spring break like everybody else. I haven't been doing too much, so I guess we all kind of made it back except Mr. Waymire.
Okay, I attended the Franklin County Tourism Board meeting yesterday. We had it at the auditorium because the tourism building was being used. K-State was having a breakfast there, which is a good thing to see, that their people are renting that building and using it to help bring some income in. So anyway, it was typical meeting. We talked about social media, reviewed the Ottawa Herald's proposal. We went over, they're trying to come up with a new transient guest tax application form that people can turn in when they're requesting transient guest tax for their fares or whatever it might be. Talked about the marketing workshop update, and that was pretty much that meeting. That's all I've been to since our last commission meetings. Okay, Melissa, you have something coming up you want to, this week? You guys, you and Carrie stuck with us. I'll let you go ahead and tell us what you got coming up. I know there's a retreat or something you have.
We have our strategic retreat on Saturday from 11 to 3, so hopefully you can attend that. And as well, I just wanted to take the opportunity. I know I submit monthly reports, but we've got a couple of new commissioners on there. And so just wanted to let you know if you see anything in that report that you want more detail on, or if there's something that you want added to that report, let me know. We've definitely changed it over the last 16 months with kind of how our business has changed. But if there's something in that report that you're missing or that you need to see, just let me know. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Carrie, you have anything you need to?
No, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, anything else? If not, would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motions are a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.